All right, here's another video. Not sure if you guys are aware of the bill that has been set before the House of Representatives. It is called the Domestic Terrorism Prevention Act. This should raise the concern of any American, regardless of their political affiliation, regardless of their gender identity, regardless of their perceived nationality, or regardless of who they are, red, white, black, blue, whoever. Look up the bill that is called by the 117th Congress. This bill is dedicated to domestic terrorism, and I'm reading verbatim, okay? Before I start reading, there are a couple of things I want to say. There's one group that is mentioned, just one. As I go through this, I'm going to give some commentary. I'm going to try to make this as quick but as concise as I can. Bearing in mind, I am a female with high-functioning autism, and if I can do my due diligence, you can too. All right. To authorize dedicated domestic terrorism offices within the Department of Homeland Security, the Department of Justice, the Federal Bureau of Investigation to analyze and monitor domestic terrorist activity and require the federal government to take steps to prevent domestic terrorism. Now that sounds pretty good, doesn't it? Be it enacted by the state and House of Representatives of the United States of America in Congress assembled. This act may be cited as the Domestic Terrorism Prevention Act, by the way, which happened to be ready to roll after January the 6th, of which the people that, quote, stormed the Capitol, those were BLM and Antifa activists that did such. There is video evidence as such. Let's continue. All right. If you take the time to read through this stuff, the term hate crime incident means an act as described in Section 241, 245, 247, or 249 of Title 18 of the United States Code. Let's see what that says. I just decided to look up United States Code, which is free for everyone to look up. I'll start with hate crime acts. General, okay, I'm reading verbatim, reading it. Offenses involving actual or perceived race, color, okay, I'll start with the amended one. Offenses involving actual or perceived religion, national origin, gender, sexual orientation, or gender identity or disability. Hello, I have one. In general, whoever, that means whoever, whether or not acting under color of law in any circumstance described in subparagraph B or paragraph 3, willfully causes bodily injury to any person or through the use of fire, a firearm, a dangerous weapon, hello, Molotov cocktails, or an explosive or incendiary device, attempts to cause bodily injury to any person because of an actual or perceived religion, national origin, gender, sexual orientation, gender identity, or disability of any person, shall be in prison not more than 10 years, fined in accordance with this title or both, and shall be imprisoned for any term of years or for life, fined in accordance with this title or both, if death results from the offense. Has that happened over the summer of 2020? No, it has not. Businesses have been burned to the ground, and no one has been prosecuted yet. Or if the offense includes kidnapping or an attempt to kidnap, aggravated sexual abuse, or an attempt to commit aggravated sexual abuse, or an attempt to kill. Hello, New York. This went on. Raping, pillaging, and plundering. No one was held accountable. I'm looking at you, Mayor of New York. The God of heaven judges you. And I say this with humility. I hope you are saved. Circumstances described for purposes of subparagraph A. The circumstances described in this subparagraph are the conduct described in subparagraph A occurs during the course of or as the result of the travel of the defendant or the victim across a state line or national border, or using the channel, facility, or instrumentally the interstate of a foreign commerce. The defendant uses a channel, facility, or instrumentally an interstate or foreign commerce in connection with the conduct described in paragraph A. People crossing state lines with ballots, that's a hate crime, okay? This has been infringed upon and no one has been brought to justice. And I'm reading the United States Code 249 Hate Crime Act. Let's continue, shall we? 241, conspiracy against rights. If two or more persons conspire to injure, oppress, threaten, or intimidate any person in any state, territory, commonwealth, possession, or district in the free exercise or enjoyment of any right, privilege, or secured to him or her by the Constitution or laws of the United States, or because of their having exercised the same, or if two or more persons go in disguise on the highway or in the premise of another with intent to prevent or to hinder their free exercise or enjoyment of any right or privilege so secured. They shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 10 years or both. And if death results from the acts committed in violation of this section, or if such acts include kidnapping or an attempt to kidnap, aggravated acts committed in violation of this section 241, conspiracy against rights, or such acts include kidnapping or an attempt to kidnap, aggravated sexual abuse, or an attempt to commit aggravated sexual abuse, or an attempt to kill, they shall be fined under this title or imprisoned for any term of years or for life or both, or may be sentenced to death. Have you seen that yet? I have not. This is 241 under the United States Code, conspiracy against rights. Let's move on. Title 2, okay, I'm not lying. There it is right there. I printed it off. I did my due diligence. Title 247 of the United States Code, damage to religious property, obstruction of persons in the free exercise of religious beliefs. Whoever, in any circumstance referred to subsection B of this section intentionally defaces, damages, or destroys any religious real property because of the religious character of that property or attempts to do so, or intentionally obstructs by force or threat of force, including by threat of force against religious real property, any person in the enjoyment of that person's free exercise of religious beliefs or attempts to do so, they shall be punished as provided in subsection D. The circumstances referred to in subsection A are that the offenses affects interstate or foreign commerce. Whoever, I'm going to pause here. California, there are churches that have been defaced, or other organizations that are religious that have been defaced, particularly churches. Whoever intentionally defaces, damages, or destroys any religious real property because of race, color, or ethnic characteristics of any individual associated with that religious property or attempts to do so shall be punished as provided in subsection D. The punishment for violation of subsection A or C of this section shall be: if death results from the acts committed in violation of this section, or if such acts include kidnapping, or an attempt to kidnap, aggravated sexual abuse, or an attempt to commit aggravated sexual abuse, or an attempt to kill, a fine in accordance with this title and imprisonment for any term of years or for life, or both, or may be sentenced to death. Bodily injury, if it results to any person, including any public safety officer performing duties as a direct or proximate result of conduct prohibited by this section and in violation, is by means of fire or an explosive, a fine under this title or imprisonment for not more than 40 years or both. If bodily injury to any person, including any public safety officer performing duties as a direct or proximate result of conduct prohibited by this section results from the acts committed in violation of this section, or for such result of conduct prohibited by this section results from the acts committed in violation of this section, or if such result of conduct prohibited by this section results from the acts committed in violation. Acts include the use, attempted use, or threatened use of a dangerous weapon, explosives, or fire, a fine in accordance with this title and imprisonment for not more than 20 years or both. If damage or destruction of property results from the acts committed in violation of this section, which damage to or destruction of such property is in the amount that exceeds $5,000, a fine in accordance with this title, imprisonment, or for not more than 3 years or both. As used in this section, the term religious real property means any church, synagogue, mosque, religious cemetery, or other religious real property, including fixtures of religious objects contained within a place of religious worship, or real property owned or leased by a nonprofit, religiously affiliated organization. I have just described the subsections that are described in the 241, 245, 247, and 249 of the United States Title Code 18 in the Domestic Terrorism Prevention Act. When they say that insurrection has been raised by the president, which, by the way, was way before what happened, by their own hand, they employed the people. They employed them to do such. It's called a red flag operation. They do it, then they turn around and blame the people that are peaceably assembling to have their voices heard and blame them for the very thing that they do. 2020 summer was hell. That was not a summer of love. The things that I have described herein, they themselves violated them. They need to be prosecuted by a military tribunal, or they need to be held accountable. Someone needs to hold them accountable. We, the people, are stronger and greater than they, the ones that think that they are above it all. As Patrick Henry said, give me liberty or give me death. Make no mistake, I will fight to the death for anyone's opinions. But as soon as those opinions infringe upon mine and my right to exercise my own, then there's a problem. I love all, I forgive all, but I will not stand nor will I tolerate this blatant violation of my rights and of others' rights. It's not There are certain unalienable rights given to us by God or a higher power, if you believe in that. They've been infringed upon. Wake the heck up. Do your due diligence. Search the United States Code for yourself. In the Terrorism Prevention Act, it specifically names white terrorist organizations. Hello? That's racism. That is racism. They don't mention Black Lives Matter. They don't mention Antifa. Those, as far as I'm concerned, are also terrorist organizations because they prohibit the things that I just read verbatim out of the United States Code, Section 18, 241, 247, and 245. Do your own homework. Wake the heck up. Organize people. Organize. Get in. Get to know your neighbors. Organize. Because they will be coming for our guns. They will be coming for our rights. And you best believe that I will take a bullet to the head before I take any more of this. There is a right to peaceably assemble. There is a right within the law for me to practice my religion, to practice the free exercise thereof. And don't for a minute think that because of sexual orientation that pastors will be muzzled from speaking about the illegitimacy of homosexuality. It's coming, and it's going to be persecution. Believe it or not, it's already started. People that were just at the rally, that were peaceably assembling, have lost their jobs. They have been harassed. I will not stand for it, and neither will 80 million other Americans. The bear has awakened, and you best be on the move.